Hello, my name is Colin Smith. I am pianist and music teacher at Wonderland Performing Arts. Today we'll be talking about ornaments of the piano, emotions in music, choosing repertoire, and of course, a little bit of trivia. Join me as we explore the keyboard world. Now, first on our list is, of course, ornaments. Ornaments are very popular in classical music, most notably in the Baroque, classical, and Romantic periods. In early times, it was popular for the musician to improvise the ornaments at will, and at length, this was considered virtuosic. It sounds very expensive, and it takes a very accomplished musician to do it seamlessly. So let's say that a piece has a melody and a repeat sign. So you play the melody as it is written in the score, and then ornament it the second time. This is considered fashionable and flashy. In some cases, critics advise against it because it takes away from what the composer has worked very hard for. In some cases, it's considered incredibly valuable and extraordinary because of the education it takes. Now, first on the list of different types of trills, is the trill, of course. This is dancing between two notes for as long as the music intends. So you start on one note, and as the music is written, sometimes it will give you the rest of the notes. Sometimes it will just give you a little sign that says TR, which means to trill. Depending on the style, there are certain techniques. Chopin wrote in a lot of his ornaments. That is not to say that they are easy. In fact, some of them are extremely long and drawn out, especially in the case of his nocturnes. Next on the list is mordents. Mordents are one of my favorites, popular in the Baroque period. You dance between two notes. And generally, you start on the principal note, the one that's marked in the score. You come down and back up. Very popular in Baroque music. So each time the melody has that longer note, you have the opportunity to dance around it. What is next? Oh yes, what is it called? Triple? Mordent? We're not there yet. What's the other one? Appoggiatura. This is sort of like a mistake. You land on a note adjacent to the one you're supposed to be going to. So instead of coming up or down to a note, you go to the note above it and then come back. Do you see the difference? Or perhaps adding a mordent as well. Something like that. Now, the other one is sort of like a turn. That's what it's called, a turn, because you come around using three notes instead of just one or two. let's take a little bit of break. And before we begin talking about emotion in music, listen to this next piece. Was The Gentle Waltz by Oscar Peterson. Now then, as I was saying, emotion in music is very prevalent. It's how we understand what story is being told. As the performer, your job is to communicate this through the emotion, through the volume, the tone, and the melody. I encourage everyone, before they begin learning a piece, to listen to it. It's a form of learning. It really and truly is, because you're feeding the right notes to the brain before you begin looking at the keyboard. Listening to a piece allows you to hear what it should sound like when it is polished and completed. But it also gives you the big picture. We want to use our imagination to create an interesting story. The tone of the piece, whether it be bright and major or darker in a minor key, tends to give us a quality or a feeling. Again, I'll play a section from the second movement of Bach's Italian Concerto. It starts a very haunting murmur from the left hand before the melody comes in. This motion, this endless dragging on, it's not quick, it's not a push, it's this foreboding sense. So the left hand has this sonorous bass sound that comes in and sort of, it's like ringing a bell. It's like something is coming and it's inevitable. Take what you will from that. The emotion here is very pensive. It's filled with indecisiveness, perhaps. It could be dread of something, like a deadline, or perhaps the coming destruction, or something. Something. It's dark. It's like fate. That's what it's like. In complete contrast, let's think about Mozart for a little bit. His theme and variations is very popular. But one of his most notable pieces, you've probably heard some student learn, and I'll probably botch it, let's see. So clearly there is a melody and an accompaniment, which I think is actually supposed to be here. So it's very simple. It's melodic. It's something to be memorable, which is largely the case for most of the classical period. The bright sound of C major is clearly happy, and the motion of the murmuring in the left hand comes sort of water-like feeling, like a pleasant stroll by the river. Or, paint the picture that you will. Listen to the emotions and describe the piece yourself. One of my least favorite things to do is actually tell you what you're going to listen to. My first experience with a symphony orchestra, the conductor spoke for so long in between pieces, my mother found herself looking at her watch quite a lot, mostly because it was past her bedtime. But the idea that someone should inform you what you're going to hear before you can experience it places a filter on the piece of music. It's sort of like reading reviews before you go to see a show. Sometimes with new material, it's necessary to get a feel of what's going on. But beyond that, opinions tend to cloud the product, the performance. So telling you that this is going to be sad allows you to feel sad when you listen to it. Or that this is going to be raucous and exciting sort of takes away the surprise. In fact, one of my favorite pieces, and I promise I'll stop playing in a moment, is the Surprise Symphony, because it's just so darn memorable. Now, let's move on just a little bit. And before we do, take some time. Listen to a piece called Chopin Prelude in D-flat, Opus 26, number 16. Anyway, Chopin Prelude in D-flat major. It's a wonderful piece, a very complicated piece. And I hope that you'll take some time to think about what kind of story you could write based on the music. Now then, let's talk a little bit about Mozart. Mozart is a very well-known composer and musician, born in Austria in 1756? Yes, 1756. He was a prodigious, proliferal, amazing young musician from a very young age. He began composing at the age of 5, performing before European royalty at the age of 10, and at age 17 he was hired to be one of the court musicians in Salzburg. A very notable position to be treasured and to be honored with that. He still felt restless to seek, let's say, notoriety in a different form. He began to travel to find other lines of work. While traveling in Vienna, he was let go from his position. And while in Vienna, he found fame, although not a lot of financial support. He composed nearly 600 works over his very short lifetime. And in the later years of his time in Vienna, wrote most of his concertos, his operas, and the bits and pieces of his Requiem, which was largely unfinished before his death at 35. Sometimes musicians have to work in two ways. One, to impress and to really hone their craft, and one, to pay the bills. And Beethoven's works are sometimes very good and sometimes mediocre. They're considered works that were just written to pay the bills, to feed the publishers, as it were. It's unfortunate that some of his sketches and unfinished works were discarded by his wife, which is sad. We have very little of his sketches to go off of. Clearly, she was not very important. No one remembers her name. I encourage you to listen to some of Mozart's works. He is incredible and uplifting and complicated in many ways. So, thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon.